All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Trenches. This is crypto's #1 live stream where we focus on the builders and doers of the crypto ecosystem. I am ecstatic to be in the Monad office, which is why I have this unbelievable Monad mascot, icon, legend.
Yeah, mascot. I think
mascot,
Monad, right?
Monad mascot, nice clear view. It is incredibly to be back here. I'm also joined by the OG intern, the original intern that all other interns are derivatives of. Are you doxed? Your name?
Yeah, Kevin.
Okay,
yeah,
Kevin. So Kevin himself. And we're actually at one of the new ecosystem offices in Manhattan. So super stoked to be here. We're going to be talking all things Monad. It's obviously one of the most hyped and performant EVM chains that will ever be. And I've been following this ecosystem for a year and been incredibly impressed. So not only do we have Intern, who leads a lot of the foundation ecosystem efforts, but we have a number of builders in the Monad ecosystem. And maybe do you guys just want to give a quick intro into who you are and what you're building? And again, at the end, we'll do a full demo, so we don't need a full walkthrough of what you're building, but just quick hello and what you're up to.
I'll hop in. My name is Zach. I am co-founder at Rarebet Sports. We are a daily fantasy sports betting protocol in Monad. Thank you guys for having us. This is awesome.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Legion EVM. I'm BD at Crystal, app.crystal exchange. It's an on-chain order book. Try it out.
On-chain order book. And not doxed yet. Maybe someday you'll see their beautiful face. But for now, you just get a Pepe.
Someday.
And I'm Larry. I'm with Drake Exchange. We're a fully on-chain club plus AMM perptex, and obviously we're on Monad. Won't be anywhere else. So yeah, thanks for having us.
And obviously he has a mustache and wears sunglasses 24/7.
Yes, of course.
All right. Well, excited to jump in. I think one of the cool places to start is when people try to describe Monad, one of the things I hear is if Solana and Ethereum had a baby, it'd be Monad.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious from your point of view, like what does that actually encapsulate well? But then what does that framing miss? I think a lot of people here probably have never even heard of Monad or just heard a little bit. So really opportunity to set the stage on what Monad is.
Yeah. I think high level, the thing that it captures well is functionality. And the thing that it probably misses or breezes over is the architecture and engineering that happens on the back end to allow the characteristics. So I think probably the main reason a lot of people describe it as if Solana and Ethereum had a baby and it got the good genes from both parents. Because from the user point of view, that really is what it's like. Same from the builder point of view. It's very fast, performant, right? We've tested over 10,000 transactions per second on testnet, sustained. Most of the benchmarking is done actually using Ethereum history and replaying it. So we're not just trying to do 10,000 token transfers per second, right? That's not very gas intensive.
You try to do a lot more.
It's very simple. Yeah. We're trying to break records on that end, but use like real transactions that happen in the wild, benchmark the performance of the chain off of that, and just share publicly what results are coming in. So very performant. It'll be very cheap. From the user point of view, it will feel similar to Solana. You click the button, it's instant, it's there. You basically don't pay anything. In reality, right, like that's not true. You'll pay a fraction of a cent in gas, but like to the user, it feels free and instant. That's what you really want. The reason it's different from Solana and where the mother Ethereum comes into play is it's fully EVM compatible. This really is important from the developer side. So from the user point of view, it's less important. From the developer point of view, it's very important. So there's an immense kind of library of resources, of apps, of protocols that have been built for the EVM over time. They're tried and tested. It's just like a very built out network of protocols, indexers, RPCs built for the format. It's just like the standard format that people use in crypto. And so up until Monad, you've basically had two different camps. You've had EVM, which a lot of things work for. It's very easy to build for. There's a lot of resources to learn how to build if you don't know how. indexers work, RPCs work. The whole thing is basically commoditized to build on. And then you have performance chains, right? You have Solana or Sui, not EVM compatible, but very fast, and you can do a lot of really cool things with it, right? Pump.fun is on Solana for a reason. It works much better when it's fast and cheap. So kind of for the first time, right, you're going to get all of the developer resources and collateral that's been built up over 10 years for the EVM mashed with an extreme amount of scale and speed and decentralization that only performant chains that are non-EVM compatible have had in the past. And that is going to be really exciting, essentially.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so I guess then what is the right way to think through performance? You know, is it, it looks like we lost Larry. Larry's back. Here we go. Larry's back. What is the right way to think about performance then? Is it in transactions per second? Is it, hey, if I'm a user and I click buy, how fast it is? You know, which of those are you guys optimizing for?
So both are optimized for. The first thing you talked about, transactions per second, probably the best framing for this, and there's a lot of like debate between big brains on what is actually the right way to measure this. Generally, a more accurate way than transactions per second is gas per second that the chain can handle. So Monad currently has a hard-coded gas limit of 300 million gas per second.
And gas is a compute unit.
Gas compute unit, yeah. So transactions per second, different transactions can be bigger or smaller, but the total amount of like big plus small that can go through, that's kind of the relevant metric on performance. I forget the second one.
How do you guys measure it? Like, are you measuring just, is it Uniswap? Like a standard Uniswap swap? Is it a token transfer? Like, because there's a lot of ways to measure TPS.
Yeah, so if you have 300 million gas, right, you can cut it up into a bunch of different things so like Uniswap, I think is something like 140,000 gas per swap, and a simple transfer is like 21,000, right? So Uniswap swap is 7 times larger. So you could fit, you know, what is it? That's like 2,000, a little bit over 2,000 Uniswap swaps into 2 blocks or 1 second of the Monad blockchain. Or you could fit 10x that, you know, a little, maybe 15,000 simple transfers into it. Usually there's a mix of both, right? So it comes out to around 10,000 transactions. So yeah, that's why the transaction is like, it's a decent proxy metric, but it doesn't really tell the whole story, right? It's a very easily gameable metric.
Yeah,
It'd be like
I ask
how
'cause
many... Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like there's a few projects out there that only measure it based on like the simple token transfers, and they don't disclose that. And that's, like you said, 7 times difference. That's huge. So
for sure. Yeah, one way you can think about it for like the average person who's like gas to compute unit, like what the hell are you guys talking about? You could think about like if you're under a bench press, and I was like, how many reps can you do in a minute? Right? If you put no weight,
NFL combine here.
Yeah. If you put no weights on it, you can do a lot of reps, right? If you put an enormous amount of weights on it, you might not even be able to do one, right? So what people do to game it is put no weights on and then just be like, look how fast we are. We can do so many. But in reality,
change the definition of reps, right? You see that, like, you know, now we're not even measuring the same thing. It's becomes apples to oranges when we're talking about blocks and shards, etc. It's like, what is a rep at that point? You know?
Right. And so the way that it's more accurate, like the gas per second, is really like how much power can this person generate in their muscle? So if you do the reps thing, you can kind of cheat and put out really big numbers, but you might not actually be that strong. And what we really want to do is get the strongest possible chain that can put a bunch of weights up and do a lot of reps within the minute.
Now, speaking of things that are alpha, you might not be able to see it on the stream, but Kevin is pretty jacked. What is your combine number? If you had to go, 215, just straight reps, as many as you can. What's your record? Or what are you putting out these days?
225 is
225,
plates.
Yeah. That's what they use, right, for the combine?
Yeah. So I did that a few months ago. and I got 13 reps
Okay.
of 225. So that's kind of where I cap out. The max that I ever put up was on, it was actually on New Year's, was 350.
Were you drinking it while doing this?
No. I guess
like
New Year's Eve, right? Go to the gym before. Yeah. But no, the combine guys will be like 35 reps, 225. They're just animals, right?
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah. But you probably did more than Tom Brady when he started his NFL career. I don't know what he did.
He probably did like maybe one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
You probably did more than him. All right.
I hope
So
your 40-yard dash is a little more graceful than Brady's, because that is like the most awkward video of all time to watch.
It's amazing.
It's like a man on stilts walking, drunk.
I know. I need to have a guy that's just like pull up that video. Hey Jamie, pull up that video.
Jamie.
Wait, I need Jamie. Maybe as the trenches keeps going, I'll eventually get a Jamie, and then we'll go from there. But so like, what do people have to believe in order for the monad thesis to succeed? And let me give an example. Like Solana is a lot of, hey, like Solana's going to scale at the speed of hardware, right? And as hardware gets better, the goal is that for the software really doesn't, and the consensus approach doesn't get in the way. And basically, as hardware gets better, as Moore's law like just continues to exist, Solana will get faster, right? And that's led to a number of mantras for Solana. Increased bandwidth, reduced latency, IVRL. By the way, it took me at least 3 or 4 days of seeing this on Twitter before I actually like knew what people were talking about. I saw IVRL. I was like, what does this mean?
I thought it was just the 00 shell. I'm like,
yeah,
I love it. Like let's do it.
Let's repost it. Yeah. But like that, and then there was like chewing glass back in the day when it was really hard. Like, has there been any, like, what from a first principles perspective, do you have to believe in order to like invest and build your time and energy and potentially dollars into the monad ecosystem? Like, what is the thing you have to believe? And then is there like a community mantra that has come from that?
Yeah. So you have to believe that performance and scale is important for crypto, right? And I think it's not a very large leap, but the next step of that is that a lot of people will use crypto in their day-to-day life. The second thing is that this EVM as a standard is valuable, which I think it's very hard to find people that would dispute that, but that is one of the core pillars, right? There is so much potential energy in the EVM ecosystem for things that have already been built and the amount of developers that use the EVM to build apps. And if you add that plus performance together, you get a great outcome, basically. And then the third thing that is important, or the third thing that you would believe in Monad if you think that this is important, is decentralization. So Monad picked essentially like a very humble, picked very modest hardware requirements on purpose, because one of the core pillars, one of the ethos of Monad is decentralization. Right? It costs about $1,500 to build a node that can run on Monad.
It's cheap.
It's cheap, yeah. So
like, I got a gaming computer and I'll be running a node on it.
Right. I'm going to run it on my MacBook.
Like, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So that is a key component. As it relates to the market, like there's kind of a few different things that you can compare and be like, okay, well, if you think decentralization is important and all of these other things are also important, Monad's the best. If you don't care about decentralization at all, like there's something else that can get you the other two. If you don't care about performance at all, probably Ethereum L1 is going to give you the best. But we think that all three of those components are important. And for that reason, like that's why Monad needs to exist.
So are you solving the trilemma?
Yeah, the trilemma is completely, it's made up, right? Like it assumes that when the initial version was built, that the software was 100% efficient, which has just never been true for anything ever, right? Like the core thesis for why Monad was tackled in the first place was that the hardware could actually build a much more performant blockchain than the software was written to create. And so an easy analogy would be like, we are running a lemonade stand and we just squeeze a little bit of juice out of each lemon and throw it away. It's like there's way more juice in that lemon. And if you can just build a better way to squeeze it, you get way more lemonade out of the same amount of lemons. In this case, you're getting 1,000x performance out of about the same hardware requirement.
Yep.
Like that's kind of the key unlock. There's a bunch of optimizations that are built in, kind of 4 key ones that allow that to happen.
Yep.
But yeah, on the hardware front, like Solana, for example, we're going to build a blockchain that scales with hardware. That is pretty similar to Monad, except the main piece of hardware that is optimized for Monad is actually the SSD, which no one else has done before. That is kind of like, if you can access this incredible piece of tech, which are SSDs, which have also been scaling with Moore's Law, but just no one's taking advantage of it.
Yep.
You can get much cheaper memory than if you access RAM. So 2 terabytes of SSD, it's like $100.
Yep.
2 terabytes of RAM, if you can even buy that, would be something like $10,000, $20,000.
Yep.
Right. So if you can get the SSD moving much, much more similar to RAM than the way it's currently used, you're going to get a lot of unlocks and performance for very cheap.
Makes sense. So if I could play a little bit of that back, it's about maintaining credible decentralization, right? So yeah, to your point, we see things now that are, I think Hyperliquid's a great example. Like nobody would say that Hyperliquid is decentralized, but the people trading there are willing to make that trade-off for the liquidity and experience. But with Monad, it's going to be credibly decentralized in the same way that, like, I think Solana is credibly decentralized. You could argue you need more, but at the end of the day, like, there's enough validators with enough global distribution, enough protection against like DDoS attacks that you can actually operate this network, right? So credible decentralization, leveraging the code base from the EVM and that module, which, by the way, gets really important when you start looking at AI being able to write code. If you can train your AI models on 10x the amount of code, then you can actually ideally get better outputs than if you're trying to use a net new language like Move or like the Solana-based Rust language or something like that, right? So that's another benefit there for the case of AI and where the future is going. And then, and then just like optimizing a different part of the hardware stack that hasn't been optimized before.
Yeah, to go even simpler on the speed for EVM front.
Yep.
I'm making this analogy up on the fly, so it might
break apart. Dude, we're going.
It might break apart at some point. But I'd think about it as like, say texting was invented, but you could only text in Chinese characters, right? So like anyone who speaks Chinese can text. That's great. Information travels way faster via text. But for English, you have to write it on a piece of paper, maybe using the post office, maybe using a carrier pigeon. Yeah. But it's really freaking slow. But the vast majority of the world speaks English. Maybe Chinese is a bad example because a lot of people speak Chinese.
They're like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe there is this African tongue which 100,000 people in the world speak. Yeah. But they can text. Yeah. That's really fast, and a lot of stuff happens. A lot of cool things happen when you can text. But English, the main language in the world, everyone has to write on a piece of paper and send. And the fact that you can send something on a piece of paper is a massive innovation, right? Yep. That's what Ethereum gave us. But Monad wants to bring texting to the English language. Right. And now all of a sudden you just unlock texting for 2 billion people. Imagine all of the things that will be built, all the innovation that will come out of people speaking English, being able to text each other.
Yep.
So would you say like, I remember it was, I don't know the exact year, but when credit cards first came out, a majority of people were really skeptical of them because they actually took quite a long time, and you had to like take a physical imprint of the card, get its number, and it was basically like a check. Like it was just a physical representation of a checking account. And so a lot of people use checks for years. Like they're like, why would I use a card? And like it's an extra hassle, and it still takes a few days, and like same end result. But then the technology kept improving, and now who's using checks? Like only America uses checks, and everything's done by card, and it's secure, and it's quick, and it's just easy to use. And I see that's how I kind of see it, like EVM growing and Monad being like the tap to pay, or the chip in the card, and it really unlocks just that next level of just ease of use, compared to writing something down in a check, waiting a few days for it to clear, and then having the possibility of it bouncing.
And if you had to write your check in Mandarin, it'd get even worse. It'd get even more wild,
That's the Cosmos blockchain.
That's the Cosmos blockchain. That's funny. All right, let's keep it running here. So one of the things as I was researching Monad is that you all have an incredible community, right? I mean, 1.3 million followers on Twitter for a blockchain that isn't even fully on mainnet yet. I mean, that's pretty wild. I don't think we've ever seen a blockchain have as much of a following, a brand, and a community pre-launch than Monad. And I'm curious, again, like you guys are running ecosystem events, you're running events at different conferences, you have great mascots. Does this thing have a name?
That's Molendak. So there's a story behind it. It's very short. The Indonesian community created that in Discord one day. Someone just sent it in. It was molendak.jpg. And then people just started putting it on more pictures. And we're like, this thing's great. And we just adopted it as the main one.
Yeah.
But it's Landak means hedgehog in Indonesian. So it's Mo Landak. The
like
monad hedgehog.
Monad hedgehog
in Indonesia.
There we go. So you guys have done an incredible job.
They make a great dog toy too. If anyone
They
who
rip
makes the
them up.
plushie sees this, I'm sorry, but my dog, Molandak is no longer alive.
It doesn't tear through it?
Oh no, it's Mondak's dead. It's long gone. But the dog is still running up and down the hallway with it. I'm trying to get videos of like it's a wiener dog, so it's really low to the ground. Its ears are flapping, and the Mondak's going all over the place. And so yeah, if you got a dog, get a Mondak.
There are some famous dogs in the Monad ecosystem, and so I think you do need to create a robust version or a hardy version that's meant for dogs. Has anti-chew. Maybe
like
a squeaker on the inside. So that way, I mean, I don't want to say follow a pudgy strategy, but it is interesting. All right, but like you guys have done an exceptional job growing a community. Like, and you're responsible for a lot of it. How do y'all do it? Just keeping the energy high, especially when you've been at it for a while. Mainnet's still not live. So I imagine the second part of that challenge is like you have so many people that want to use it, yet there's only limited things you can do on a test net versus a full mainnet, obviously. So like, how did you get here, and what are some of the challenge that you're facing now to keep everyone engaged and active?
Yeah. I'd say it's a combination of three things. The first thing is that it's taken 3 years to get here, right? So you just have more time to like build up interest. The second thing I think was some creative tweets and creative ways to build a community. The growth team at Monad is like phenomenal. I love working with these guys. They're some of the smartest guys I've ever met in crypto that have no idea how to code, right? So like the non-technical smart guys, like I think the team's amazing. So some good tweets, some good community stuff. Definitely the biggest reason is that it's not very hard to convince people that Monad is a massive unlock in crypto. So like if I have to go talk about a product, talking about Monad, it's like, well, this is a gift from God, right? Like this is obviously the next step in blockchain tech.
Mana, also gift from God, also starts with an M. I'm just saying.
There we go. So yeah, it's like it's an easy thing to talk about and get people excited about, right? Because of what the tech unlocks. Like there's some tweaks we can do with some marketing and Twitter stuff. There's some of it is just building up interest over a longer period of time because we haven't launched for a while. But yeah, I think that the key thing is just like this is a massive idea, and a lot of people see that and they want to follow along and be a part of that.
Yeah, I can add to that on the project side of things. It's given us like a once in a lifetime, I think, opportunity to where we're a part of an ecosystem, a major L1 before they launch, and we're on their testnet with their community themselves. So for us, our positioning very much aligns with this journey of Monad and us being there with them day one as well. But this testnet phase has given us so much opportunity to reiterate our product, get feedback from community, and like Intern mentioned, just continually build this momentum and hype leading towards the mainnet launch.
Yeah, I can second that. Like honestly, when we launched our first iteration of Drake, we were really nervous. The UI UX, it sucked. We spent like 95% of our time just on the back end, and the risk engines and all that stuff that protects your money. But obviously UI UX is insanely important, and we were really nervous because it was not good. And we put it out there, and it's been the best decision ever. And that's just because the Monad community is fantastic. Like we've
Yeah,
had
if
over
something's wrong, you'll find out real quick.
insane. Like we've
They'll
had
tell you
600,
instantly.
yeah, in depth too. We've had like paragraphs on
Oh yeah.
Typeform with pictures and screenshots. Like, man, you guys
Oh
are
yeah.
insane. I love it. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it makes the world a difference.
yeah, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but maybe if you want to comment on it, right? I think one of the key, like, oh, well, it's a test net. Like, you know, I've been working in crypto for almost 5 years, been a part of crypto for my 8th year. Like, I'd never use a test net like
Nobody
before
does.
and I'm like, why the
Yeah.
hell would I use a test net?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Exactly.
not, I can't do anything interesting. Money's not moving around.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell am I
Yeah.
going to use it for? I think one of the things that has happened since testnet has launched is, one, since there aren't any major updates that'll happen as it relates to like testnet to mainnet, right? Like testnet's almost fully baked and it's like the same thing as what mainnet will look like. You can build your product and launch it and know that this is how it'll work on mainnet. And the bigger factor is there are so many people who use it every single day to give apps feedback because they want to be a part of this new apps community, right?
Yep.
They, from the user side, they see a world of opportunity of like, if I can give feedback to these apps and become important and a spokesperson, like I can gain influence in the Monad community. I might get job opportunities. I'm going to be early to apps that I think are cool. And so you have this almost like sandbox testing ground with real user feedback that I don't think has ever existed before, because I don't think anyone's ever cared about a testnet launching before.
Yeah.
But they've never
And
been
so
fun.
building an app, you get feedback immediately, exactly kind of what you guys, maybe you can talk about your experience on it, but like what I see is the community goes nuts to be able to make the apps that they think are good even better because they want these things to absolutely crush when it gets to mainnet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what you guys have done, laying this groundwork. Like, you guys have set forth a precedent of how the community kind of governs themselves and how they interact with projects. And like, you guys obviously set the standard, like no farmers in the Discord. If there's any chance of farming, you're getting booted. And also, of course, blocking it, doing the, Twitter private and all that really kind of set not a, I guess it is at this point, but it's a very cohesive community that's receptive, and they've been wanting to give feedback on things. And so when you're able to put something that's cool and interesting in front of them, they're just eager. They just want to help out. They want to get jobs. They want to be in the Discord. They want to talk to you. I mean, I take calls every week with our most influential users, get feedback from them, and I think that would, in any other ecosystem, it wouldn't be as consistent or as valuable as it is here.
Yeah, and I think Legion, I saw you unmute, and I know I saw Keone posted last week. Keone's now your community member. He's testing out, doing a bunch of stuff on testnet, kicking the piss out of Crystal Exchange. It's been holding up amazing. But yeah, maybe if you had a comment, I know that you unmuted a second ago.
I mean, I just can say that the community has been amazing to us. The fact that I guess our app was like kind of ass at the start, but I mean, through the community, I mean, feedback, it's just like every single suggestion that made sense, we just implemented it. And eventually, like with you kind of like start running into like less and less, I guess, user complaints. And then of course you have to start like balancing out, like if one user wants one thing, a different user wants the other. But like in general, like the users want the same thing and they make it very clear to us. So it's very like we have a direction to prove, we know where to go. And having that, as well as just, of course, the positive support to keep us going, has been really helpful, and we're really grateful for that.
I think it's a huge encouragement for all builders to like launch early. I think people want to wait too long for the app to be perfect. And what's nice is a testnet gives you the safety that everyone knows it's not going to be perfect with real money, right? So it kind of removes this, oh my gosh, I can't. If people are going to come and use my app once and I'm never going to see them again, fear when it's on testnet, and then you do find your loyal users. And oh, by the way, in crypto, like it's a global community. To your point, like this was somebody from Indonesia,
yeah,
right? And so you get sort of global access to a community day one of people that want to rise and grow with your project. Now, are a
100%.
portion of them motivated by the token? Well, of course, but that's actually like a good thing. Like tokens are a bootstrapping mechanism to garner attention. And what I found is sometimes by engaging with a project, even if it was initially for financial motives, all of a sudden you start using it and you actually like it. And so it's a way to acquire users. And then likewise, users that truly believe in the mission from the outset, all of a sudden find the token to be a really interesting side effect and benefit that they may not have gotten before. So, I think launching early, getting the community going, like by far the number one thing I wish more founders did. And we see people just wait too long sometimes to launch, and then they miss the meta, and then they're the meta's on to the next thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we didn't really get that many users. It's like, well, you should have gotten the product out there.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've been streaming on Pump now for 3 or 4 weeks. When I first started, you see these nice buttons here, Kevin?
Yeah.
They literally didn't exist. They were up here and they were white, and I had a white background behind me. So I'm literally stand up on screen to get my shirt to be the background in order to change things. But now, 3 days later, they fixed it, and it's like getting better every single day. So even a team as large as Pump ships early, and then like they just make it better over time.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like users aren't assholes. Like we thought they're gonna be like Gordon Ramsay, like just screaming at us, and there's something wrong, and they were really understanding. Like they just wanted to help, and I think they felt a sense of ownership. And like you said, it's fun, and I honestly feel like there's people realize that they can have fun without it being incentivized financially, and I think there's actually going to be communities and apps that have zero financial incentive on Monad that are literally just for fun. Like obviously Pump.fun is for money, but like there might be purely fun, like pure.fun or something like that on Monad. I could actually see it happening. And then those are the best communities in the long run, really, because they all have the same incentive, and it's just to have a good time. So
Twitter.
I like to have a good, for real.
Does
Never bet
crypto
against
have
fun.
a Gordon Ramsay? Because I was thinking about it. It's you don't want a Gordon Ramsay too early, but eventually your idea becomes validated when it does get a Gordon Ramsay. And another example, Simon from American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are a lot of people that only watched American Idol to see what the hell Simon was going to say.
That's an app review Gordon Ramsay.
An app review Gordon Ramsay.
I don't know who that would be. There's like
they got to be British though, like Simon Cowell, Gordon Ramsay. They're all British. They just yell really loud. They're British.
Because then it's like I'm yelling at you, but I'm having a nice accent, and it's like I don't know, somehow makes it acceptable. Versus if somebody with a southern accent or a different accent that you're like, oh, you're an asshole. Why would you say that?
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of is like maybe Kobe, but he's not like shitting on apps. He'll just like see stuff happen. He's like, this is absolute shit.
Yeah.
Like this is a scam. Like what is happening?
Maybe like 3 years ago, Zach XBT would put out threads of projects that were like red flag. He was red flagging them. And some of them went on to become kind of successful projects, but it was always like, oh, you got Zach XBT, which was kind of like you were saying, it's kind of like the Gordon Ramsay. You actually got kind of recognition for getting on this guy's radar. Now he's kind of just trashing your entire project, but I saw a lot of projects kind of feed off of the Gordon Ramsay vibes.
There we go.
Zach XBT.
The next content creator, this could be you. British
accent. Barry's like the nicest guy ever, because Barry would be hilarious if he was yelling at people.
Barry's great, yeah.
Like
Barry's
the nicest dude in the world, but like if he was yelling at me, like Nigel Thornberry yelling at me, I can't even do the accent, but yeah, great dude, but too nice for the Ramsay role. So,
dude, my girlfriend is an actor, and she puts on her British accent, and you're like, holy shit, this is impressive.
It's perfect.
Like she would fool the Brits.
Oh my god!
So just learn it, and for anyone else to do the role, just learn it. You can make it happen. It could be you. All right. Well, one final question before we jump into demos, because again, speaking of products in their early stages, my thing is on the trenches. We want to not just talk about crypto, but also show what people are building. Again, I think demos over conversations and demos over research is like critical, right? And so we're going to do demos. But one final question before we get there. I think Monad, it seems like it's going to be one of the final last general purpose chains. And, as I look at things like Plasma focusing on stablecoins, Hyperliquid focusing purely on finance, I think we're seeing the next meta about use case specific chains. But like Monad is general. And from my understanding, there's consumer apps, there's DeFi apps, there's gaming apps, there's deepen apps. So, am I right in saying, hey, like Monad is a place for everyone and all apps that come build? And, if so, has there been any challenges in winning developers to a general chain versus them being interested in a use case specific chain?
The short answer would be not really. Like, I have not really talked to many teams that are like, I'm not going to build on Monad because I'm going to do an app-specific chain. There might be a few reasons for that, right? One might be the reason you would choose an app chain is because you want to custom tailor the characteristics that you're looking for in your chain. There's a few examples of this, but one example might be, okay, we need to do 2,000 transactions per second for our app to work. And you know what, Solana? I've seen you guys get congested in the past. I've seen you guys go down. I want to have full ownership over this because if you guys get saturated, then our app's going to break and we can't handle that. It doesn't really happen in the Solana atmosphere, but it definitely happened in Ethereum, right? Like, we saw DYDX spin off and do their app chain because they're like, we need more performance and we can't get it here. And so typically when you see an app chain, they need to change the traits or the fundamentals of the chain to get the desired result that allows their app to function. If you didn't have to do a chain now outside of like, I think I can command a higher valuation because I'm a chain versus the app. If you just
teams would never launch a chain just to improve their valuation. How could you say such a thing?
If you just take, we just want our app to function the best it can. Hyperliquid, it makes sense. They need their validators, at least in the beginning, right? They have a plan to get more decentralized, but in the beginning, they need co-located validator set because they need extremely short block times to allow the engine to actually function properly. Like it's part of their value prop is the product needs this, at least in the beginning, to work well. I think the reason we have not gotten that complaint that much is because it is about as performant as anything that's been built in crypto. And so like, there's not really an app that's like, we need more than 10,000 transactions per second to work. The craziest claim I've heard actually was from this massive gaming company. And they're like, we actually haven't been able to launch because when we launch the game, it'll be about 3,000 transactions per second. And I'm like, I got you. We got this. That's perfect. You know what? This is made for you. So I think that's generally like why you've seen the app chain side happen. I think there's a lot of positives that come from general purpose. It's mostly from the developer side, which is actually important. You probably want that over the starting from the user side. Because if everyone's coming to your chain to build, then you have a much higher chance. There's more serendipity that app is going to exist. And then when liquidity flows in through that actually helps other apps within the ecosystem. It's like, do you want to move to New York or do you want to start your own city? It's like, well, if you have a lot of people that are willing to move with you, then you actually might be able to start your own city. But there's a lot of benefits of just moving to a city that already works, right? There's already a bank that works. The plumbing already works. Like I don't know. That's kind of my, we haven't, or at least me personally, I have not heard that, that from people that we're talking to about Monad.
And like very few instances have teams launched their own chain and it's been wildly successful. Like Uniswap, I don't think their chain, like I hear nothing about it. I don't know what's going on there. If it's huge, let me know in the comments. Let me know I'm wrong. But like that's one. I think Jupiter, I don't know if they launched their chain or talked about it, but like I don't see in deals a number of teams saying I'm going to go deploy on Jupiter chain. A lot of these, I mean, Ondo's trying to launch a chain, but I think that might be one a little closer to I have a high valuation. I need something to justify my valuation. There hasn't been many, right? And so I think you're right. And like in New York, one of the reasons people come here is that it's the best people in the world. And, we're going to switch over to demos here. And I think in the developers I've talked to, some of the best developers are here on Monad, right? And they're patiently waiting to deploy. They're ready to deploy. And so the testnet's great, but the people want mainnet.
I agree.
But the developers here that have been building and tuning their products, it is nice in that, like, you look at some chains when they go live and there's all sorts of things that aren't working and there's not much to do day one. But, ideally everyone's had enough time to marinate and fix things on testnet that like there should be an ecosystem of healthy apps day one on Monad.
Yeah, I think about it like the analogy, and again, another one on the fly.
Dude, I love this.
I think about it as like everyone who's building on testnet and deploying apps and getting user feedback, it's like we're going out and playing paintball, but like we know that there's real war that's going to happen.
Yep.
And so when you get to play paintball, you get to like try your strategies and change stuff around. And that actually helps you get better at the game. And then when you go into the real world, it's like you're actually a much better soldier.
Yep.
If you just go straight into the war zone, you got no training, that's kind of tough.
Yep.
And so I think we're going to see a lot of like battle-hardened teams that know exactly what they're doing, launching apps that just work on day one. And I don't think crypto's ever seen that before. So I'm really excited.
There we go. All right. Anything else on Monad before we jump to some demos?
Demos are great.
Is there one catchphrase that we need to know about the Monad ecosystem? Is there an IVRL or a chewing glass or an OPOS for Monad?
Usually these come from the community,
Yeah.
either community builders or the community themselves. So I don't know. I've seen a lot of people try to do top-down slogans, and I think it all generally comes across more cringe. It's got to come.
No, I agree. I mean, I think all those Solana ones were bottoms up.
Right. The developers were like, this like chewing glass, and Tully's like, I kind of like that.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
I've seen a few rumblings. One that I like from the community was all in one. It was like shampoo, conditioner, whatever you want. It's like you got decentralization, speed, security. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's jump into some demos. So again, let's try to keep it to 5 minutes, and then anyone can jump in and ask questions, and let's go through a couple products and see what people are building. I spent years in product, so I love actually demoing products and asking questions about them. So whoever wants to jump in first?
I'm happy to hop in.
Here we
Let
go.
me see if I get the right button here. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's good.
Can you guys see this okay?
I see. Yes, I'm pulling it up now. So pin globally. Let me just pull it up real quick. It might be pinned. It says it's pinned. If you're in the audience, does it show it full screen?
Click the one below it. That little.
Oh, this one. There we go.
There you go.
Cool. Yeah, we're up.
Cool. Yeah. So my name is Zach, of course. Like I said, we're Rare Bet Sports, and we are bringing daily fantasy sports to the entire world. We find that it's kind of crazy. Only North America gets to participate in this fast growth betting vertical. So we're using Monad, we're using decentralization, we're using composability to bring this to players all around the world, as opposed to, again, just North America. So we built this RareLink, our DFS app. You're going to select 2 to 7 players. You're basically predicting their statistics over under. The more you add to your bet slip, the higher your payout. And if you win or lose, you're also eligible to rack up tickets for our weekly RareLink prize. This week it's powered by another Monad project, Opinion Labs. So I'm actually looking at it across the hall right now. So even if you win or lose your picks, it'll all accumulate here. You're still eligible for maybe potentially 80,000 USDO. NBA Finals are right now. It's been awesome. This week we have 229,000 entries. But why don't I just go through any particular over-unders you guys see here?
Dude, I don't even know how to read some of these. So basically, this is over. Actually, this is a lot easier. So when I look at sports, I just see a number and it's like -2, or I'm like, I don't know how to read this. And like, I actually go look into Google. This is pretty obvious. You're saying is for example, Obi going to get more or less than 10.5 points, right?
Exactly, and that's something we really focused on was abstracting away this complexity of sports betting. So like you kind of mentioned, when you look at a typical sports book, it looks like a spreadsheet. There's all these crazy odds. There's like no real excitement behind the actual user experience of placing your bet. So we abstracted away from that aspect of sports betting, but we also really tried to abstract away from the blockchain itself.
Yep.
So you'll notice it's, being on Monad is super smooth. We don't use crypto jargon all over the place. And it's very, very simple to play. So right now I have only 8 Mon in my account, but by selecting 5 players, I'm getting a 14x. If I wanted to go for the 100x, I could do 7 players.
You're putting up a daily parlay. You're basically saying
exactly
these are the 5 people I think, and I'm going to put over unders and then combine them together.
Exactly. And I can do this as many times as I want throughout the day. I can do this with other players from different sports. So what we've done is exactly that, is we've condensed the fantasy model into a day.
Oh, so you can
So
compose. You're composing even across sports.
across sports, across leagues. Right now, we just have basketball and NBA live, but we're really excited to launch quite a few more, including esports, of course. But yeah, why don't I put this in? Let's go for the 100x. We'll see what happens.
And then
That's
these
gonna
are
just
oracles you're having from some sports provider where eventually it'll spit out the result and then you'll settle the market.
Yeah, so we actually had to build an oracle. We built one in partnership with a massive data provider called SportsData.io. They're a big Web2 data aggregator and make sure that all the lines we are providing are accurate. And we write those to chain. So this entire process is all on chain, which is unique to us as well. Typically for a sports book, you're only really getting the deposits and withdrawals on that chain. With us, we're pushing the outcomes, we're pushing results, and of course, pushing those winnings. So you can see my 7 link here. We've got a day until the NBA finals, but I could go back and I could also, play some baseball. It'll be playing today. I passed Rare Links. I wish I was winning a bit more right now, but I can easily share this with anybody online, look at how well I did, and easily see visually if I hit or if I missed.
I love it.
So it's really simple. Again, extracted away from sports betting in general, bringing daily fantasy sports to the entire globe. And I think one thing that's really cool about that is that we see like Pascal Siakam, who isn't traditionally one of the biggest players, but because of our global reach, he is from Nigeria, from these places where we have active players. So you see them become popular on the website and on the app as well.
Totally. No, and I think it's like global. Like what I find too is, you know, people weren't sure if Polymarket was going to make it after the election because a lot of their markets were very long duration. I think they've done better trying to create more daily markets. But what's nice about daily markets is if that capital can stay in the system and keep turning over, you're just going to make a lot more money and have a lot
Exactly.
higher user engagement than I'm going to go place a bet and I have to wait 3 days for the game and I may not check the app.
Exactly, and that's the name of the game, right? Is retention, and how can we keep these people interested and continually coming back, keeping their money on the platform. And we've built a lot of mechanics, that'll eventually make its way to users, like the leaderboard and referral campaigns.
Yep.
One thing we really love about just how the game's built is these rare link prizes. So what we're able to do by partnering with people throughout Monad is we actually get introduced to a new audience almost every week. So now their audience and their community can come on to RareLink and actually engage with something fun that's a part of their overall, community and project.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
really cool. And so you sport basketball, baseball, I guess a number of sports already, right?
Yeah, we got basketball. I wish we had basketball. We've got we've got basketball and baseball right now, but we will be launching soccer, UFC, some boxing, and of course we have NFL season coming up too. So that's going to be huge.
Cool. All right. Any questions? If not, let's move on to. I know it's already past 5, but let's go over a little bit. So let's move on to the next one. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, so by the way, so people, if they want to go play the call to action, they can start on testnet today. And
yep, testnet today. Rarelink.io. Hop in there, deposit some on. We also are doing some activations with the
do you
Just
also
Jerry
do
Bros.
USDC? Like eventually, once it's live on mainnet, like will you do dollars? Because obviously, people don't want to be betting in a volatile asset.
No, so stable will be our main token on the platform.
Got it.
But what we can do by introducing like some interesting meme coins to the platform is capture hype pretty quickly. Give these meme coin communities something to do almost immediately with their token, where they could have hopefully 100x it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy to go next. Does share screen?
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes. Let me just pin this up. There we go, Drake.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm not sure if you're here at the start, but Drake is a perp DEX. You can think Hyperliquid. Not exactly. We're making a lot of different design decisions and building more products and I guess structured products and services on top of it. But the underlying architecture is very similar. We've just tailored it to Monad. So we have an order book. It's fully on chain, as you can see right here. We also have a VAMM. That helps a lot with listing new assets, especially meme coins where it's a little harder to get market makers, and it also helps us smooth out volatility, and we can build a lot of really cool products with it. So we're incredibly excited about the potentials of just this hybrid system. I know even it's the big thing right now, the cloud wars, but I don't think it's mutually exclusive. Like you can have the best of both worlds, and that's our goal. We want to be flexible and adapt with the times, and we think this is the best way to go about it. So Drake's a little different than normal perp texts, just the flow. It's tailored or it's designed a little more like a centralized exchange to give that centralized exchange feeling. We have this really corny saying it's putting the sex in perp decks. And you'll see what I mean right here. Go into deposit, and instead of a normal perp dex, it kind of just takes it from your wallet. You don't have to actually deposit anything. On Drake, you have both isolated and cross margin. They're two different kinds of trading accounts. They let you manage your risk differently and have different capital efficiency levels. And really, if you're not an expert trader, isolated margin is probably the best way to go. So it just gives people a lot more flexibility. To demo this, I will show off cross because there's a lot of fun features in there that we want to show off. But just go ahead and deposit. And as you can see, I'm actually able to deposit multiple forms of collateral. So that's something that's not normally possible on perp texts. It just is really hard to do all the calculations on chain for the risk management, and if there's liquidations and the margin and everything like that, it's tough. But Monad made it possible, and our team has a background in high frequency trading and market making and 99% on centralized exchanges. So yeah, they did really well, and we want to be able to replicate those strategies on Monad. So I'm going to have to claim some BTC here to show you how this works. But the really cool thing about this, and when I'm saying it at a high level, it's probably like, okay, great, whatever. You can use multiple assets as collateral, but it gives you tons of options. So like, if I'm going to go deposit BTC, I can do that. And this lets you like, if you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, but you still want to use the trade, you can do that.
Yep.
Like right now, I have my equity here. I have both USDC, I have BTC. We're able to swap between collateral, even when you have open positions. So say using Bitcoin as collateral and you're longing, you're just ultra degen.
Yep.
Bitcoin starts going down. You're at risk of getting liquidated. You can just swap to USDC while your trade is open, and then your collateral value is not going down. It's much easier to manage your position. These are things you can do on centralized exchanges, but you just haven't been able to do them on chain yet. So I'll open the big order here, see how much we can do. Just max it out.
Awesome. And so I guess the benefits over something like Hyperliquid, is it the multi-asset? Is it speed? How would you? I mean, obviously, it's probably easier. Getting the Hyperliquid's kind of hard. The bridges aren't great. So what's like the main thesis versus Hyperliquid?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We get it asked all the time, and I'm personally a big fan of Hyperliquid. I traded on it since 2023. I think they're great. They just have a bit of a different goal than we do. Our goal is to simplify these very advanced trading strategies that you either need a ton of technical knowledge or you need a team that can do it for you or just a lot of experience. There's a lot of requirements to pull off these strategies like a funding rate arbitrage strategy or
Yep.
A cross exchange price spread arbitrage. And there's all these different things that are incredibly profitable, but the requirements are super high. And so our goal is to make all those strategies available to the general public. We've seen there's a huge demand for these just simple yield strategies like InstaDApp doing a great job at it and just simplifying the process down to the end user. And that's really our goal with Drake. So the first way we're showing that off is with the funding rate vault. here's an example of the UI UX not being great. We still have a lot of work to do on this site. But the funding rate vault's the first product we built that really shows us off, and it's very similar to Athena. It just balances out the funding rates. You deposit USDC, it swaps USDC to a whatever asset it'll be trading, whichever has a positive funding rate.
Yep.
And it opens up a 1x short on it using that collateral, and then you're basically delta neutral. You're earning yield from the funding rate payments. And the best part is there's going to be a lot of stake monad, earning yield. Using that as collateral, you're double dipping. So you're getting two forms of yield while staying delta neutral. And all the user has to do is just click right here.
It's awesome.
Obviously approve your assets, and it just handles all of it for you. And we'll have different products with different varying levels of risk for different traders. Some people want to stay conservative, some want to be very risk on. So
and is this
the way
live?
we're building it,
this is on testnet today.
Yeah, it's on testnet today. We're currently it's like the last phase of our whitelist. Anyone here who's in the stream, feel free to just drop a message in our Discord. I can get you whitelisted. I'd be happy to, but we'll be going live in a few weeks on Monad. We got a ton of stuff planned around it. You definitely don't want to miss out. But yeah, we wouldn't be here without the community. Like, I wish I could show you the UX. At first, it was god awful, and a ton of these updates that just make it look more modern and more smooth.
Yep.
Those are all from the community, and it's been the best experience ever. And we have a long way to go, but we're very excited for it. And yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I could go on forever.
Awesome.
But
No, it's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely excited to check it out. And then,
of course, we'd love you too.
Lastly, and then let's go to Legion.
Hi, so this is Crystal. So we're a fully on-chain spot order book at the moment. We're live on testnet, and I guess we just tried to really, first off, like the reason we chose to build on Monad in the first place was like the decentralization and the composability. Essentially, it comes down to you can either choose. It's like a trade-off between performance and centralization. Hyperliquid started off choosing performance. We're starting with decentralization. But of course, the performance, we think Monad's there. We think it's just the latency, which really can't be solved, the 500 millisecond block times, that you can't really do better than due to light speed. But otherwise, the performance is there. We can do Hyperliquid's daily TPS easily. And we just think that there's demand for on-chain liquidity in the form of an order book.
Now, did you solve the block time issue, like where developer or traders can cancel orders quickly and get confirmation, or is it still gated by the 500 millisecond block time?
I mean, you can't really so we're fully on chain. There's no API, no matching engine, so you can't really interact with the chain between blocks. But it's not really like a 500 millisecond delay in the sense that your transactions are included the second they're put in a block. It's just you can put 500 milliseconds as a worst case scenario.
Got it.
Yeah. A little bit more about like our interface. We just, of course, our interface is exclusive taker flow. So we wanted to make it as, I guess, optimized and also familiar as possible. So for the demonstrators like Jupyter, Uniswap, we got the simple view. But I think the highlight is our advanced view. So why the chart not? Okay, the chart loaded, yeah. But so
it's going up. The chart's going up.
Yeah, bullish mana, especially on testnet. But this is I guess our trading interface. So the goal here is to like make it familiar for those who are used to centralized exchanges, like for example, like the deposit QR code, all that. I guess we're also though not afraid to innovate. So we have we noticed that like the Uniswap model, you can choose the two tokens and are either an input or an output. And we think that this model, just a lot less clicks, a lot faster. I think traders on advanced view really care about the execution, and we just wanted to make it as easy as possible. So
that's great.
We'll place a couple swaps here. We can yeah, and the chain is fast, so that's an added bonus. And with the order book also comes native limit orders, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So, with architectures like Jupyter, or like how like 1inch has like limit orders right now on like Ethereum or Solana, it's not actually like a guaranteed limit order, in the sense that you still have the trigger would basically be executing like a market order, and it's not guaranteed to fill. But here, for the price to cross, like on a standard order book, if the price were to cross your limit price, it would be filled.
Yep.
Yeah. So here we can actually place a couple orders at once, and right now it's capped at 100, just because I don't know why we should raise the limit, but Monad support with Monad's with Monad's performance, we can easily place thousands of orders in one transaction, and also cancel thousands of orders in one transaction.
Mm. And are cancels free, or you have to still pay gas for them?
Well, you would have to write to the network, because it's fully on chain. So yes, we would have to pay gas. But I guess the consideration here is the two things that set a fully on chain exchange apart from a centralized exchange would be latency and also the gas cost. Latency is not really something we can optimize for. It's up to the chain.
Yep.
But it's also a trade-off that decentralization like enables.
Yep.
But with gas costs, it's what we can optimize, and that's basically, I guess, the highlight of our architecture, that essentially orders are really, really cheap to place and cancel. And I think we've simulated, like with Monad's, I guess, proposed gas, like dollar cost for 100K gas or so, that we can do hyperliquids essentially throughput, while with fees just like 20% lower.
Mm.
Yeah. So the gas is we actually think latency is the larger, I guess, the place that we would need improvement to bring the UX on par, but we're trying to get as close as we can with what we can do, with what we can control.
Got it.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, this is really cool. I love it. And then one of the things about perps versus maybe I'll bring up Drake as we talk about this. Is like with the thing about perps is you actually can make a lot more money potentially than spot.
Yeah.
Just from fees. And so I'm curious, are you going to be expanding into perps, or are you going to try to be an order book that a perpetual exchange might use on the back end? How are you thinking about perps?
I mean, definitely. I know like a lot of like exchanges like Hyperliquid, they start with perps. We can say definitely perps is harder to build. We can also say that to the broader chain ecosystem, spot liquidity matters more. The perps is like a standalone like product, and it's great that we have perps on Monad, but we can say that what the rest of the chain, what the lending, what the, say, like a game that launches a token, what they would need is spot liquidity.
We need spot liquidity. Like for that collateral spot, we don't have any spot liquidity on Drake like right now. In the future, it'll be a different story.
Yep.
But right now, like that collateral swap could get routed through Crystal, and there's so many great dexes that are on Monad that it's going to be, you don't have to worry about having a spot liquidity at the start. And Legion's spot on. It's very hard to build perps. It took us like a year and a half just to get to the base product. And so there's just different design choices, but we need things like, Crystal, and it's an ecosystem that works together. So we're very happy that we can rely on dexes like this with, it's fantastic infrastructure.
It reminds me of the meme of the white guy and the black guy where the handshake does this. Like I pull it up and it messed up the screen recording. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. I guess you're saying perps needs underlying spot liquidity in order to function properly, and therefore because of that, like spot exchanges also benefit from perps products that are built in the ecosystem, and of course spot has wider applicability to all the ecosystem. So I think that was a really solid way to think about it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, guys, this has been awesome. I loved having a chance to chat. Any final thoughts or words on Monad and things that we didn't cover before we wrap?
I just wanted to thank you. I just wanted to just share that I think another primary advantage, I think, regarding like the whether to choose Monad and app chain a layer 2. It's just that the accessibility for Monad is there. Like it's a lot easier for capital to flow into your exchange or product when it's on a general purpose chain.
Mhm.
And we feel that the ecosystem like can work together, and that users of Monad will have so many different products to check out, and that
Yeah.
this wouldn't be
Also, to add,
we're all
to,
at.
yeah, to add to that, I would just say that any build for those exact reasons, anybody that's building EVM or elsewhere to definitely consider building on Monad, just because of the team. Obviously, you guys saw Kevin and the projects working here. I mean, we're very, I'd say, tied together in terms of how we want to build this ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah. Just going on the accessibility thing, like one click, you would not imagine how much one click makes a difference and the user actually does something or not. Like the drop off rate from every subsequent click you make them do is insane. So the fact that Monad just has everything there, USDC on day one, it's gonna make everything so much easier and just smoother, and users won't get burnt day one. They'll stay. Like I got burnt so bad day one blast. I never went back. Never went back.
Never went back.
But yeah.
All right, love it. By the way, just to recognize the comments, yeah, getting yield on Bitcoin is pretty cool. If there's a way to get yield on Bitcoin by using it as collateral and perps, that'd be pretty awesome.
Oh, there will be. Don't worry.
It's kind of the holy grail, as people say, how do I get yield on Bitcoin? And right now, the answers are you have to use, like what's the Babylon or some other system?
Merlin,
yeah, like sort of takes your Bitcoin, puts it as collateral, and you get yield in, an L2 token or something, or even sometimes converted into native Bitcoin. But that seems like the holy grail, is being able to use Bitcoin as collateral, trade Bitcoin, or yield on Bitcoin. I agree with you there. 2G9. Cool. All right. Well, this has been another episode of The Trenches. Thanks for everyone coming on. Go check out Monad's testnet if you have not. Also, go check out the 3 apps that we had on today for the demo. There's a lot of stuff happening in Monad. There may or may not be benefits about using things early. Hint, hint. So go check them out and give feedback and go join the community. Believe in something. Have a good night.
Roast me as hard as you can. Please.
Roast as hard. Oh, that's
as hard as you can. Yeah.
I could have been doing that for the past hour, but I decided we should talk about Monad instead.
But you're not British, so it's illegal. You can't roast people like that.
All right. Peace.
See you guys. Thank you.